Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another Market Open. We are here. I am 2 minutes late, but I'm on time. Honestly, the reason why I'm late is because I had to get my latte, and there was too big of a line at Dunkin'. I left pretty early, dude. I was like, I'll be back on time. I just got in the house literally 30 seconds ago. But we're here. We got the latte. We also can't afford the latte because Meta's down 15%, but we bought the latte. That's why we need this fucking Robinhood credit card so we can get 3% back at least when we buy this latte. Now, thankfully, I didn't have a big Meta position or any Meta position, but if you did, Meta's down 16%. So we're going to be talking about that. That is the headline of the day. Meta had honestly, the earnings weren't bad. And I think, let me say this right now, I think the dip will get eaten up. I think it will. I do think the dip will get eaten up. 415, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I'll talk about why it's down and why Meta lost $200 billion in market capitalization, which is a hell of a lot of money. But also why I think at the end of the day, it's not the biggest deal. I don't have a ton of money, so it's not like I can really buy the dip right now. If this thing did get below 400, I would figure out how to get some money and buy the dip. But at 415, I do think we see a rebound today. Maybe we don't, maybe continue to sell off, but we'll talk about that. Second of all, Tesla still up. Tesla is maintaining their 11% pump, 161.93. The pump is still there, and we'll see if those PCE numbers come out on Friday. Maybe that helps Tesla as well, but Tesla is not selling off yet based on the pump they got after their earnings. GDP numbers came out as well. We have to talk about that and the projections of GDP numbers. And Ron Barron was on CNBC this morning, and he was talking about Tesla. The standout quote of what he said is that he believes that Tesla has bottomed. In fact, he quite literally said the bottom is in, and Tesla's going to go up a lot from now. Ron Barron, for those that don't know, invested $400 million in 2016. That stake is now worth about $4 billion. So he's done very well on it. He has even another stake in SpaceX that he thinks can 20x over the next 15 years. So we're going to get his thoughts and comments on what he believes is going on in the market. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Let's get into it. To Ramu, David, LP, Christian, Adam, Bhaskar, Azim, Ray, Dax, Ty Gordon, Mike, Victor, Chamu. Thank you all for being here. Adam, what's up? JS, Jason Reynolds, John, Jarrett. Someone said, when is the Robinhood gold card coming? Vlad actually tweeted they're beginning to ship them out. So now or in a few weeks. I think on their earnings, they're going to announce the UI, the 1% match, all that stuff. I think that they're all going to announce it that day. So we'll see when it comes out, but it should be coming out soon. Zocold, Sky God, Alex, Timothy, Lars, Brandon, Rogue Trader, Mark, what's up? What's up? Thank you all for being here today. Okay, let's get into it. I think real quick, I saw in the chat, someone said that Lina Khan is on CNBC. Maybe let me load that up. Should we go to that Yeah, let's go to that. Actually, well, no. Okay, I'll have this loaded up, but we'll go right after, and we'll talk about the non-compete. Let's talk about Meta first and some of the macro stuff, and then we'll go to that because that's not the most important right now. Okay, cool. So GDP. Let's start with GDP, and then we'll get into what's going on with Meta. So GDP numbers just came out. The 10-year, unfortunately, has jumped. The 10-year has jumped after this GDP report came out. Now, why is the 10-year jumping? So this is the GDP report. Not necessarily the best in the context of what we want to look at when it comes to the market. So let me pull this up right here. GDP, gross domestic product, it measures how big a country is growing and the projections of the country growing. GDP for Q1 came in at 1.6% growth over the past 90 days, below expectations of 2.5%. The previous expectation was 3.4%. That's not good. That's not good. And yeah, there you go. Markets are down. So when this number came out, I was in the car and I was driving as I was getting back from Dunkin' Donuts, and I looked at the market, and the market didn't react to it, right? So so this is my thinking. My thinking, as soon as I saw this number came out, you see, I was tweeted at 8:30. When I was in the car and I looked at the market. The market was stable, and I was like, oh, this is good because the Fed wants the economy to slow down, so there's less inflation, so that they can cut rates. So in my head, I'm like, oh, markets might actually bounce on this news because exactly what Nick Piercy says right here. Lower GDP growth could help slow inflation. That's what I thought it was good. Now I'm looking at the markets and the S&P is down 1%. So the market came to its senses. Tesla's down almost 1%. And the market's like, actually, lack of growth is not good. Amazon, goodness gracious, dude, down 3%. Palantir is down 2.6. Robinhood's down 2%. SoFi's down 1.7. Where's Meta? Does Meta get hit on this GDP news? Meta still down 15%. So that's not good news. Technically, it is good news at the end of the day because we do want inflation to come down, but it's not like the best news in the context of the short term for the markets. Now, the 10-year, wow, we're at 4.7. Oh, my. Oh, boy, we're at 4.7. Yeah, it should be a bad day for the markets, dude. It should be a bad day. It's I know everyone's in love with this penny stock called Poet that's up 7%. I don't know if with a 4.7 10-year that thing continues to last. Maybe it does because maybe it's just so small it doesn't sell off. But everything I'm looking at is down. I can't find a green stock. Chipotle is green, so Chipotle is maintaining its pump after earnings. Everything else is down. I don't see the green. We had a couple earnings today. We'll talk about that as well. In earnings yesterday, we had Chipotle, IBM. Where's IBM right now? Wow, 4.7 on the 10-year. So the reason the 10-year is being sold off is because obviously if the economy is not growing as much, markets are a bit worried that equities would end up not doing as well as ultimately they thought they would be doing. Okay, so StreamYard is having a little bit of a bitch fit right now, and it's not opening up Webull, but fear no more. I have another computer that can open up Webull. It always does this, dude. It's so random. Like, I don't know why it acts like this. Like, it always acts weird. Okay, here we go. Let's share my screen here. And let's show what's going on. Wow, so that 10-year really is messing up things. Here you go. Yep, there you go. Look at the Max 7 right now in the pre-markets. Everything's down. Even Tesla's down a little bit right now. Everyone got kicked in the balls. That's correct. Microsoft's under 400. Yep, that happened actually 2 days ago, and then they bounced back to 409. Microsoft and Google have earnings today. If I'm not wrong on that, and I'll be live today. We'll listen to Google first, then Microsoft. Today's what, April 25th? Yeah, Microsoft and Google. And then T-Mobile, Intel, Capital One, Snapchat, Roku. Wow, today after hours market close is going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Market is starting to contemplate rate hike as the next move. I don't think we're going to get a rate hike, but they definitely are probably contemplating it. The thing is, let's check oil right now. Oil prices, I think, should still be. Fuck, dude. Why is oil up? Oh my God. Oh boy. Oil's up. The 10-year's up. GDP projections are down. And then look at NVIDIA, dude. NVIDIA is not only down about 2% in the pre-market. It was down 3% yesterday after Meta shit the bed. So like NVIDIA, like you would think some of that money was coming from Meta to NVIDIA, and that was not the case. Did not end up being the case. Okay, if you're just joining, GDP number projections are out, and the GDP projection is that we are going to likely see less growth than expected. Not only less than 3.4%, which was last quarter, but less than what was expected, which is 2.5%, coming in at 1.15. That's not necessarily the best thing for the market. The 10-year right now, 4.718. I was looking for Meta under 400. This 10-year, I still think the Meta dip gets eaten up, but on a day where the 10-year goes to 4.7, remember the 10-year was at 4.7 to 5 when the S&P was at 410 back in October 2023. We topped out on the 10-year when we bottomed on the S&P. Now we're like topping on the S&P while we're also topping on the 10-year. Most economists believe that doesn't make sense, and that can't be the case. As Justin says, it's correction time. I wouldn't be surprised, dude. I would not be surprised. I don't think we have to have a correction because we did have that 6% pullback last week, and the market was ready to eat the dip. We'll get money market fund data today. I do think the money market funds increased versus decreased. We'll know by the market close. But it's likely, it's very possible we could get a little bit of some downside momentum. Joshua says, along with downbeat growth rate for the quarter, the report showed consumer prices increased at a 3.4% pace. Well, oh, wow. I didn't see that. Josh, thanks for sharing that. The reports show, this is the GDP report, consumer prices increased at a 3.4%, well above the previous quarter's 1.8%. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Kevin Smith, what's up? Thanks for being here. So if you're just joining, GDP projections down, 10 years up, inflation's up, and consumer prices quarter over quarter is up. Jonathan says that was a weak 6% pullback. I think we have another good way to go down. I agree. That pullback, actually, I think that's the right way to describe it. It was very weak. and everyone kind of wanted it. Like on Friday when Nvidia fell 10% last week, we all kind of knew it was going to happen. And we all were like, all right, like if this is the best you got, this is the best you got. And so there wasn't a lot of pain associated with it. And sometimes you do need the pain, but that necessarily wasn't the case. Also, we have a new Palantir partnership. I'll talk about that in a bit. It broke like literally 30 minutes ago, so we'll talk about that. Going more into Meta, that was some of the macro stuff. Let's discuss a little bit about Meta, and then we'll kind of go back to how we're thinking of what's happening in the macro. So here's Meta's results. Revenue beat 36.5 versus 36.2. EPS beat. I put the red emoji there. It was supposed to be green emoji, but all I was seeing was red at the time, so I messed up on that. And EPS beat as well. So healthy beat on EPS, slight beat on revenue, but they lowered their Q2 guidance and they raised their CapEx outlook to about $37 to $40 billion. So they were going to be spending a bit more, about $3 to $5 billion on CapEx than what was expected. They also said, hey, we're going to have a lot more legal expenses. Now, CapEx is different from expenses and costs, but CapEx and operating expenses, right? CapEx and OpEx, although they function differently, they both decrease net income at the end of the day, right? Because they take away money from the bottom line. So now the Meta is massively profitable, so that doesn't matter. But it does matter if you're trying to show compounded growth and if you're trading at a 32 PE, right? Like that's when it does matter. And when you're already up 40% year to date, that's when it definitely does matter. Because if you're not growing anymore, investors will take their profits because they're up 40% year to date. They're up 500% over the past 18 months. So if you're going to increase your CapEx outlook by about $3 to $5 billion, which is going to decrease your net income to an extent, and then tell us, hey, you have all these legal expenses that you have to pay for because you're getting sued in the EU, this is where you get a 10% drawdown. Now we're down even more. This 10% was nothing. Now we are down 16% on Meta. And that is what we're getting right now. John says the market hates when Meta spends on AI metaverse. That is correct. And I think the market would not care if Meta is spending on AI infrastructure, which Meta was very honest about. They said, hey, we're spending on AI infrastructure and like chips and all that stuff, which is why NVIDIA, I thought, was going to go up because Meta and Tesla both said we're buying a shit ton of GPUs. But that's not really the case right now. I kind of think the market's thinking demand is peaking for NVIDIA if Meta and Tesla already ordered it and like NVIDIA is pulling forward that demand, or maybe they already pulled forward that demand for Meta's chips for like the next 2 years, right? Maybe I think that's what the market is thinking. But in that context, if you're going to increase those expenses, that's fine. The problem is, and when I was listening to the call yesterday, for anyone who was there, when they were talking about the metaverse, and they were explicitly asked, "Hey, you just lost $3.9 billion on this like metaverse thing, like what's going on here?" On a TTM, that's about $12 billion in losses, right? Zucks was just like, "Well, Taylor Swift is on Threads." Like it was like, well, my daughters wanted me to tell you that Taylor Swift is on Threads, and I'm sure the analyst was like, motherfucker, I don't care. What's going on with the metaverse? And yeah, they didn't answer that question. So I even asked a couple of Meta bulls yesterday, some long-term Meta bulls, like, hey, you're in Meta for a long time. I think the drop is silly, going down 15%. I think the increase in CapEx is actually bullish because it means they're doing what they need to do from an AI infrastructure perspective. But given you've been in the stock for a long time, what the hell is going on with the metaverse? Like, what do you think? And those people quite literally told me word for word, I think of it as a call option on the company. And that's it. I think of it as a call option. If it plays out, I'll be happy. If it doesn't play out, then, I'll have to live with that. But I think of it as a call option. And that's basically how I think about it. So I think most investors are starting to reconcile with the fact that Meta is a call option, or that the metaverse is a call option in and of itself, and maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But if it doesn't, they're not going to care about it as long as they can keep the advertising business. That is going to be the most important thing for Meta. Outside of that, guys, there's nothing that crazy on the earnings call. That was pretty much it. The earnings call was good. Zucks just kept talking about, their AI spend and what they're doing. And they kept saying their AI advertising will be good. Like it wasn't any call that was different than what we've heard before in the past. The problem was the stock was up 40% year to date. Now, one last thing I'll say on this, and then I want to transition to Tesla, is the difference between Meta and Tesla, speaking of Tesla, is quite phenomenal when you really think about it, right? Like Meta beat earnings and they're down 15%. Heinz says Meta will buy its dip. Well, they've got enough cash to do that. Meta beat earnings and they're down 15%. Tesla missed badly. Like they missed badly and they're up 12%. Why is this happening? I wrote this last night. Oh, here, look at this right here. Jensen's giving the H2100 to OpenAI. Look at this. Look at that thing. That H200 is going to be powering GPT-5. Look at this, dude. Absolutely incredible. He wrote on the thing to advance AI computing and humanity. For whoever gets upset about OpenAI being valued at $80 billion, even though they're only doing $2 billion in revenue, I still think it's cheap, dude. OpenAI has won. They have won the game. It's a winner-take-all market when it comes to models. Yes, there's a lot of other models out there, and they're going to be successful, but they're not going to be like when the CEO of NVIDIA is hand delivering you the latest chip, latest GPU to be able to plug in to train your models. It's pretty special. I think OpenAI is going to be good. So right here, Meta was up 40% year to date and is now down after earnings. Tesla was down 40% year to date and now is up after earnings. So what's really interesting is that when a stock is up or down that much, the inverse tends to happen. All of us, including myself, thought Meta would go up and Tesla would go down, which is the same pattern they followed over the past 4 months. The majority of people, I believe, also felt that way, right? The funny thing is when that usually happens, it tends to go the opposite. But like all of us were so convinced, at least I was convinced, that Tesla was tanking to 130 and then Meta was probably going to gap up to 520. And it's a reminder that usually you have to go against the crowd to make money, but it's so hard to follow through and actually, go against the crowd when it's time to do it. So that was my way of eloquently saying what Joe is saying right here in the chat. This proves that nobody knows shit. That is also true. Nobody knows shit. However, someone who does know some shit is Mr. Ron Barron, who invested $400 million into Tesla in 2016 when not that many people believed in it, and he's up $4 billion. Here's Ron Barron. Let's get his thoughts on what's going on with Tesla and where he thinks the company is ultimately going to go.
And I think hybrids, I know you love hybrids, that's not going to last either. They're too expensive and they're not effective enough, and they're not going to be part of the mix either. It's going to be all electric. And so what I think is going to happen is that the reason the stock is down is not because of the quarter. The reason the stock is down.
Well, the stock's up because of the stuff that he said.
Well, the stock's down so much.
Well, it's down 35% year to date. It's down 1%, or it's up 1% over the course of the last year.
Yeah, it's not so exciting to be up 1% in a year when everything is, the market is so strong. I don't worry about short term, but I do look around all the time and see everyone getting rich, and I'm not poor, but I haven't made a lot of progress in the last 3 years. So therefore, I think it's like a rubber band. I'm going to catch up again. So what I think about the reason the stock is down is because people were concerned that he was going to abandon the idea of having a low-cost car and go all into robo-taxis. That's the reason the stock is down. And then there was a report in Reuters said he's canceling this new factory that's going to make he's going to make low-cost cars, $25,000 cars, competition from China. So there's only one company in China that's profitable, by the way. That's BYD, Warren's company, Buffett's company. And that's a company makes $1 billion a quarter, and our company makes $4 billion a quarter. No one else makes money. Ford loses so much. General Motors, everyone loses money on this. It's much more complicated to make these cars. It's interesting. I was talking yesterday about motors. So motors in a car cost $5,000 a car. That's what the normal, these 100-year-old companies cost them $5,000. We can make a motor for $1,000. Costs $5,000. So they get.
Yeah, but then you have to have a battery that's more expensive.
Oh no, I'm talking about if you're making the internal combustion engine cars. I'm just talking about how stagnant businesses become and how used they are to operating the way they've always operated. That they don't look for new things to do, new ways to operating oriented toward making things cheaper. He can do things for $1,000 that other people cost $5,000. It's amazing. That's if he wanted to be an electric car, a gasoline car company. All I'm pointing out is that people get entrenched and they do things without trying to make the things better and cheaper and faster all the time. There's no incentive to do that. So Munger said, "Show me the incentives, and I'll show you how people act." Mm-hmm. And that's the idea that the incentives. What's the incentive for someone who's 55, 60? We got to get off of this. But the idea is that's the reason the stock's down. And now
So what's the reason it's going to go up, and when?
Oh, it's going to go up huge.
When?
And now. I mean, now is the bottom. Okay. And so what they're doing is they're going into robo-taxis, and they're going to make the low-cost car. So they're making the low-cost car, except they have excess capacity right now. They have capacity to make 3 million cars a year. They're making 1.8 million. So the 1.2 million cars they can make extra in an existing facility with no more capital, and they're not going to make the cars direct cost as cheaply as they did before, as they expected to. But overall, until they expect to do 5 million of these new cars.
Can I say you a robo-taxi question? Because that is, I think, the future of this company and a lot of the value.
So again, he said, hey, now is the bottom. His argument is if the M2 is happening and robo-taxis are not like the only plan, then the stock's going to go up a lot from here. Those are his words. we'll see if that happens. But he believes that 140, 138 level was indeed the bottom.
Is relying on that. Question is what you think the genuine timing of a robo-taxi that's reliant on cameras only, and this has always been the question about can you do it with just cameras relative to what Waymo and Cruise have done, and there's been even questions about that using the radar and the LiDAR and the whole rig that lives on those vehicles.
Well, we have a small investment in Cruise because I wanted to see what they're doing, and Waymo is their cars are $250,000.
Because of all of the sensors and all of
and they're trying to take cost out, and for us it's software. And so basically the advantage that we have right now at Tesla is that they've sold 6 million cars, and 3.5 or 4 million are collecting data. So the data is what's really valuable. They're doubling their amount of compute every 90 days.
I don't disagree with you. The question is a timing question of how quickly you can actually put these things into the wild.
I was just in California. Last Sunday, I was in Vail because I want to see what they're doing with AI in the mountain and capital spending. And then that was on Sunday. And then on Monday, I was in SpaceX in LA in the morning with some engineers and some finance people. In the afternoon, I went to Tesla and I was with the autonomous driving people and also the compute people. And then afterwards, they said to me, Ron, would you like to see how we've made unbelievable advances? The first 11 versions had to be designed so that they had code every single thing that happened.
Right, and now it's all AI.
It was impossible. And so therefore they weren't making progress for 2 or 3 years. They were at a plateau. And now what's happened, they have version 12. They have all this enormous amounts of data. And now they have compute to figure out, humans can't do it. Now they have compute to figure everything out. And so now you're on the verge with autonomous driving in your car. So I said, okay, show me. So we do the few hours, couple, 3 hours. And then before I'm going to go back to New York, I said, okay, so I want to see how it works. So we go into a parking lot and we get into the car, and I have an analyst with me, and then they had the compute person, and they had a an investor person. And so we're sitting in the car, and so where do you want to go? So I want to see Steve Jobs' house. And say, okay, so they punch in the address, and we get into the car drives around by itself. Didn't do it, all we did is punch it in. Drive around the parking lot, goes to the road, there's traffic going both ways. It looks both ways, looking for an entry to get in, gets an entry, pulls in, makes a left-hand turn, drives right behind cars in front of us. There's a stop sign. First car stops, goes. Second car stops, goes. We pull up to the stop sign. Car looks both directions, makes a right-hand turn. Just drives. And then all of a sudden, there's a pedestrian crossing the street. The car stops so that the pedestrian cross the street. The pedestrian, I don't know if I was being set up on this, but the pedestrian waves, and then the car starts going again. Then it pulls up, then it makes a left-hand turn, and then goes in front of Steve Jobs' house. It's a nice house. It was just a house, though. I was expecting a house, but it was a house. And so stopped in front of Steve Jobs' house. Then he has that house, and he doesn't, his wife does, the house next door. Then they had looks like 3/4 of an acre for sale next door for $15 million. They didn't go back.
That's a
but
little
it drove
creepy,
all by itself. Yeah, all drove
Take me to stalk somebody's house.
It drove all by itself. So what's going to happen is that I thought the idea had been that you're going to sell a lot of cars. So as a result of that, once they have those cars out there, you'll sell autonomous driving. And he said the other day that he's negotiating to sell autonomous driving for some other cars too. No one has the compute, no one has the data.
That's the long-term thing. If Tesla's everywhere, just like the Tesla charging.
If they're making cars, they make $7,000 in profit a car for a car they're selling for $35,000, minus the $7,500 credit.
What's your timing? But just give me the timing. That's the whole game.
Now. It's now. People think it's forever, but listen to how much you're going to make. So they're making $7,000 in profit a car for a car that they sell for. Do I have time? How much time we got here?
We're running short on time.
Yeah.
We've got about 4 minutes.
When I say now, you believe on August 8th
they're going to make
that they're going to announce robotaxis that will be available now
for 20,000. Well, they're going to talk about it in August. 08. $20,000 car. They're going to make $40,000 or $50,000 a car a year. And if they have 1 million cars, 2 million cars, 5 million cars, they're going to make hundreds of millions.
I believe that's the promise of the company, and I think it's amazing. The reason I'm asking the question about the timing is I think there's a view that those vehicles are not comparable yet to what Waymo or the other guys are doing. And by the way, those guys can't even do it in some cities, most cities, actually.
You will be amazed at how quickly they come. I mean, maybe it's not this moment in robo, but it's certainly this moment in autonomous.
And,
But
and for the government approval that would come with that?
well, it takes a while for all those things to happen, 2 or 3 years for everything. But they can make hundreds of billions of dollars a year on that business, hundreds of billions, not including the batteries, not including the AI.
All right, so we got Ron's take. That's actually, I mean, look, he's pumping. He's pumping his bags right now. He's got to be pumping. Is robotaxi happening now? He's pretty adamant that robotaxi is going to happen now. I don't know, dude. I mean, at the end of the day, maybe Tesla can really announce something good. S&P down 1.23%. But is it happening anytime soon? I guess that is the question. If you think it is, then Tesla's cheap. It's very cheap. If you think it's not happening anytime soon, which is, wow, Tesla's down 1.5. Yeah, that S&P number or that GDP number got everybody. If you think it's not happening anytime soon, then maybe there is a little bit more pain to go for Tesla. Ron Barron, obviously you can't disregard his opinion. He's been right about Tesla for a very long time. He believes it is time for robotaxis. And you can't dismiss, maybe he knows some stuff that we don't know, not like insider information, but just like he's so close with the company. He knows that they believe that there's, they're coming through a breakthrough. And as a result of that, he might be more excited. Martin says they'll show the prototype on 8/8. I think that's the most realistic thing. If they end up saying, no, it's available, you can order it right now and it'll be delivered in 3 weeks or something, or like, hey, the fleet is live, the app is live, whatever. I just don't think that's possible because they need the regulatory approval. They need to go city by city. They might go to Dubai before they go to the United States where they have less regulations. Like, I don't know how they launch it, but 8/8, most likely they'll show the plans on launching it. Vitaly says it's not happening on 8/8, but it is happening by end of 2025. That I agree with. I think end of 2025, we have a functioning robotaxi network in some parts of America or some parts of the world, even if it's not throughout everywhere in the world. All right, so let's go back to macro. That was the update on Tesla. Again, if you are just joining, why has the macro, or why are stocks red, even though they were green in the pre-market? The reason why everything is down is because GDP projections came in at 1.6%. The market wanted 2.5. The street wanted 2.5 GDP, gross domestic product. How much is the country growing every 90 days? We came in at 1.6. The 10 years at 4.7. That's the highest it's been in 6 months. And the S&P is down 1%. And that is why every other stock, which is why today might not be that fun, is down right now. Now, I wonder today how the market interprets this this decrease in the markets. Like, does this sell-off continue, or does the market think, oh man, like I missed the 6% pullback last week and things went up too quick. Now I want to get back in before things go back up. Palantir, wow, down 3.3%. Robinhood down 3%. MicroStrategy down 3.4%. Or does the market think, you know what, screw this. We're headed for a couple of months of like some really tough, tough momentum, right, to the downside. And so let's just get rid of our stocks. SoFi right now, 736. SoFi and Robinhood earnings and Palantir are coming up SoFi is next week, and then Robin and Palantir the week after. If the macro doesn't clear up, those three companies could produce amazing numbers, but still not be rewarded by the markets, which might be an amazing dip opportunity, but also it might be tough to deal with if their numbers are really good. Reddit's down 3%. Reddit is now officially below their IPO price, so that's down. Nvidia's down 2.7. Coinbase down 3.4. Where's Bitcoin? Where's the stupid? Yeah, look at this stupid thing, dude. The reason I'm calling it this stupid thing is because this is stupid. This whole thing is stupid. Like, it's dumb. This Bitcoin is a scam. It's stupid. And the thing doesn't go up. I was promised that it would go up. I was promised, okay? A lot of people told me, oh, after the halving event, there's a supply. There's no supply. People have to buy. It's like, no, none of that's happening. None of that's happening. You know why? Because stupid Grayscale selling 130 million. Like, how do they have so much Bitcoin to sell every day? Look at the inflows, dude. The inflows were disgusting yesterday. BlackRock brought in 0. Fidelity brought in 5.6. Bitwise brought in 0. ARK brought in 4. Every other ETF brought in 0. We lost $120 million on the ETFs yesterday. It's becoming ridiculous, dude. I was told that this thing was going to go up. It's not going up. It's staying in the, and now people like zoom out. No, dude, anytime someone says to zoom out when something's down, I just want to I feel like everyone, like, we just want to punch them in the face, too. It's like, no, this is not about zooming out, okay? I want to zoom further in because I didn't buy when this thing was 5 cents, okay? I didn't buy Tesla when it was $10. I didn't buy, what's another stock? I didn't buy Meta when it was freaking $100. I'm looking at what my entry looked like, which was for most people on Meta was basically 470, and what it's looking at right now, or Bitcoin basically 65. and I see red. And so zooming out doesn't really help me right there. Meta right here, 417 down 15.4%. I still think even with the bad GDP data, Meta's going to go up because I think it's getting oversold. I think it's stupid. Again, for those that are just joining, the Meta numbers were not bad. The only thing they did, there were no red flags. They just increased their CapEx, which is kind of bullish because it means they're getting ready for, a new growth of AI infrastructure. But the market felt like, oh, that means like your net income is not going to be as substantial, which they're right about, even though their net income, dude, it's up 111% year over year. Like they did $5.6 billion in profit last year. This time they did $12.7 billion in profits over the past 90 days. So the numbers were phenomenal in my opinion, but they just weren't as good as the market wanted. And the thing was up 40% year to date. So I do think it'll get bought up, but these GDP numbers might make it a little hard for that to happen. Tesla right now, 159, Verizon down 0.56%. Netflix as well, continuing to get hit, down 1.27%. Benny says, Amit, think of what happens when Grayscale are done selling. The problem is, dude, everyone's been saying Grayscale will be done for like the past 3 weeks, and they haven't been done. I guess in 3 weeks, maybe they'll officially be done. But hopefully that will be a catalyst. As of now, it's been tough when you're disposing of $130 million of Bitcoin. That gets pretty tough for the markets to address that. I'm obviously just kidding about Bitcoin only going up after the halving event. I do think that supply shock thesis is going to be intact. And the miners have reflected that, right? CleanSpark, Marathon, they're up. I'll check right now in the pre-markets, but they're up in general because the market's like, we know what's going to happen with Bitcoin. We know what was going to happen with the miners. Yeah, CleanSpark still, it's down 5%, but still $18. It was at $14 at one point, and then it bounced up to 20. Market knows what's going to happen. The question is of when it's going to happen. No one can time it, but once it does happen, I think we will see the compounding effects of it working out. Okay, let's get into my girlfriend who's on CNBC this morning. We all know her. If you're part of the stream, I wished her a good episode this morning when she left this for the appearance, and hopefully she does good. If she does bad, it's not my fault, but if she does good, it's because I gave all of her talking points to her this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, JP Morgan's Gabriella Santos. Here we go.
Now to talk earnings season and today's GDP data. Gabriella Santos, Chief Market Strategist for the Americas at JP Morgan Asset Management. I'm just excited because at the top of the show, I was pretty sure it was 2024, and it is, but you've got a whole little thing built around so I can remember 2024. It's going to be, in your view, a 2024 year. Economy. Right. Go over what's the first two?
So 2% real growth.
Okay.
Zero recession in the base case.
What, 0% chance of a...
No, zero. That's where sometimes it gets a bit confusing. Zero recessions or no recession in the base case.
That's why that's my girl, dude. I told her to get on. I said, go speak that bullish. Before she left, I was like, go speak that bullish. If you're going to be my girl, we're not going to do this whole Liz Young bullshit. We look beautiful, but we're bearish. No, we're going to get on CNBC. And we're going to preach the bull market. That's my girl. That's how you know that's my girl.
Doesn't mean it's 0% recession risk. At any time, it's 15, 20%. And we feel like it's around there. It's come down, actually, over the past few months. Then the rest of it is 2% PCE inflation towards the end of the year and 4% or lower on the unemployment rate. And I think this is really important to anchor the conversation because one of the narratives right now in the market causing some angst in April is we keep going back and forth in this narrative ping pong of soft landing, hard landing, no landing. Look, maybe there's a little bit more upside to growth, a little bit more upside to inflation, but you're still rounding down to that 2024. And I think we'll get some more data today with GDP with a 2 handle, tomorrow PCE also a 2 handle. And hopefully that helps to calm some of the interest rate volatility we've recently seen on this, as well as some of the recent market volatility, equity market volatility.
One of your other points, we're still, it's going to sound weird, we're still high for longer, not higher for longer. So you're just saying that we may not get the cuts as soon as, or as many cuts, but no hikes in your view.
That's right. And I think 2 letters make all the difference. And that was really
the ER and
the
high,
ER. And that was really the Fed pivot in December. It was just that. It was saying, look, July really was the last rate hike. We see risks as more balanced. We see the diffusion of inflation has really come down. Inflation expectations are anchored. That's enough now. And the next move, it's inclined to be a cut. It's not tomorrow. but that's the next move. And that makes a difference. It gives gives companies, gives consumers, gives investors much more visibility about the cost of capital, and as a result, unleash quite a powerful rally there for 5 months.
We seem to be, and someone complained yesterday, we don't talk about Bitcoin when it goes down. We do when it goes down, doesn't it? It has been, it's down again today, but we're in a risk-off environment right now, are we not? The Dow's called down triple digits. Meta's going to take the NASDAQ down. Are we in a risk-off phase, and how much further does it go? We hit 5, do we hit 10?
Yeah, so I think just to put in context, that really powerful rally for 5 months there came with very low volatility, interest rate volatility, equity market volatility. That was abnormally low. We had gone 279 days without a 2% pullback. It's much more, shall we say, normal to have 5% corrections.
Facts. This is all very normal, in my opinion, as well.
3 times during the year, 10% intra-year as well. So far, just normal behavior, shall we say. In terms of, is it over? Is it going to get worse? I think what's macro-driven, and that's affecting more of your cyclical area of the market, I do think that calms down if we do get that 2 handle on GDP and PCE. But then there's a separate issue going on, which is much more micro and focused on earnings and the very high bar that was set there for some companies. And I don't think we're out of the woods quite yet, as the earnings last night showed. Let's see overnight. We get 2 more important ones, but that is a very micro story and much more focused on that concentration risk that we had been warning about, and is clearly an important issue here this week.
So basically her argument here is that we will have inflation that will be high or we'll have interest rates that are high for longer. Inflation eventually will come down. She's bullish on PCE, which is what the Fed really cares about. They don't care about the CPI thing. The PCE is what matters more. That number comes out tomorrow. So we're seeing a sell-off right now for those that are just joining because the GDP projections came in lower than expected, 1.6 versus 2.5. If PCE tomorrow comes in higher than expected, it could be a tough Friday. It could be a tough Friday. Yo, literally last Friday, we sold off 10%. Market recovered by Tuesday this week. Now we might repeat what happened last Friday simply because the numbers just aren't that good. And that's what causes a bit more of a sell-off on inflation data. So we'll see how that turns out. S&P down 1.22. Meta recovering a little bit. Look at the little bit of a green candle right there. I mean, I think the dip will get bought. I think there's plenty of people that want to get into Meta, and it's better at 420 versus 500. So maybe it is a really good opportunity. But I think you also have to address the risk reward on Meta. Like if you're buying it at 420, right, expecting short-term gains, I think the best at the end of the year is like maybe 530 if everything goes well. But long-term Meta at 420, I think is fine. But this is not like the dip. The dip was $100, right? So for those that want a Meta position, I think it's fine. But for those that think like, oh, I got to get into Meta once in a lifetime, it's like, no. It's like the once in a lifetime has missed everybody. It was at $88. That's not happening, right? So now you just have to temper kind of the projections on what you think Meta can also go. Alice says, is it TikTok as well? I don't think it's TikTok. So on the earnings call yesterday, they talked about TikTok and they basically said it's too early to tell what the implication of TikTok would be, right? And because we don't know exactly how it's going to ban or when it's going to get banned, most of those people, 170 million people using TikTok, are not going to Instagram anytime soon. You can still use it in the United States. The interesting thing about this TikTok thing is that if the United States bans it, I wonder if Canada bans it. I wonder if Australia bans it. I wonder if parts of Asia ban it. I know it's already banned in India, but like I wonder if everyone follows the United States lead, France, UK, Germany, because I'm pretty sure they would, right? Like I don't know. I don't think it would make sense for Canada, that's America's biggest ally, to be like, yeah, we love TikTok even if America hates it. So it could be detrimental to the entire business if they don't divest, but we'll see how that plays out. Surf to watch. This is a good quote. Thank you for putting this in the chat. This was a worst of both worlds report. Slower than expected growth, higher than expected inflation. Consumer prices are up month over month, and GDP growth is down. That is where we get stagflation. Slower than expected growth, higher than expected inflation. And so the market's going to have to figure out how to deal with this, particularly the Fed. I don't think rate increases are going to help that problem. And the primary reason I don't think rate increases are going to help that problem is because one could argue, JP Morgan put out a note about this a few weeks ago, that rate hikes are the reason why inflation is as high as it is right now. Like it's bad. The mortgage rates are at 7.5%. Part of that is because people don't want to sell their houses. And if people don't want to sell their houses, it's because they know if they have to finance a new house, they're going to have to pay a lot of money. And so that's kind of the issue we're seeing right now. I don't think rate hikes are going to change that, but I do think eventually if inflation comes down, we can withstand it. As of now, GDP's down, inflation's up. Not the best combination for the broader markets. And that's why we're having potentially stagflation right now. What if China bans Apple or Tesla's retaliation? I don't think China can afford to do that. Their economy's in the dumps. If they did that, it'd be the dumbest thing ever. But then again, it's China, and they're dumb. So this was my reaction yesterday when Meta dropped. Here's about 30 seconds on how I was acting on the market close right when we got the Meta results. $100 a share, dude. I mean, they did the dividend last time. They did the buyback last time. It wouldn't be crazy for them to, drop another hammer and just be like, yeah, this is what we're doing. Let's see. There's the red candle. There it is. Oh, God. Oh, my God, dude. Whoa. Oh, my goodness. Now, let's see if it recovers. This is initial, but so far this earnings season, the initial has been the norm. Holy guacking moly. Oh my. Why does it keep going down? Stop. You're destroying shareholder value. Stop doing that. Go. The market didn't listen. I said, stop. You're destroying shareholder value. The market did not listen. All right. We got 2 minutes until the market opens. Let me share one piece of news right here because this was just absolutely incredible. And then we'll talk about the Palantir partnership. Palantir partnership will be, we'll do it after the market bell or after the market open. And then after we ring the bell, we'll talk about that Palantir partnership. Donald Trump, this is the meme I put out on Twitter. This is live footage of Donald Trump after Biden put out his full year 2025 proposal, proposing 44 for the fiscal year, proposing 44% capital gains taxes and 25% taxes on unrealized gains for high net worth individuals. You might think that last part is fake. It's like, oh, admit you're wrong. No. If you read it, they are proposing 25% taxes on unrealized gains, meaning if you're up, if you bought Tesla at $100 and it's at $160 and you're up $60, they would tax that unrealized gain of $60. And so this is what I think Trump acted like yesterday. I at some level, dude, I think Trump was like, you know what? Thanks for the election, buddy. It was fun. Now I know it's a negotiating tactic, and I know Biden's probably going to give up some of the proposals he had, but the fact that you're even offering that proposals, I think, is going to get people to the point where they're like, dude, we can't trust this guy if he wins another 4 years, even if we hate Trump, because what if he proposes some crazy shit like taking away our money? If it's unrealized, it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. So we will see how this ends up playing out, but that is one thing we've got going on in the broader political landscape when it comes to the U.S. election. All right, here we go, folks. Let's see how red today gets. 4:30 or 9:30 a.m. The market's now open. I said 4:30 because I wanted the market to be closed. That was a Freudian slip versus 9:30. Wake your ass up. S&P down 1.27%. Meta, not that bad. Meta was down 15%. Now it's 14.62. Meta's holding up a little bit. CleanSpark down 6.47%. QQQ down 2%. Amazon, wow. Holy shit. Why is Amazon selling off that much? What is going on with Amazon, dude? Amazon was at all-time highs last Tuesday. Oh my God. Tesla's down 2%. That's not as bad. Tesla actually being down 2% is not as bad. We thought that would be a little worse. Tesla's still 10% up off earnings. Mag 7. Meta's down 14. Microsoft's down 3. Apple's up. Wow, Apple's up. Interesting. I don't know why. Google's down 4. They have earnings today. Amazon's down 5. Nvidia's down 1. Tesla's down 2. So Amazon and Google right here are the biggest losers. Obviously, Meta, we all knew that was going to happen. Google's reacting to Meta. I think Google's report is going to be good today, and I don't think Google's going to show the same CapEx increases that Meta's showing. And even if they do, I think they're going to have higher profitability, just in pure net income, so they can withstand that. We'll see what happens today. Amazon down 4% is surprising. Maybe those GDP numbers are particularly affecting the consumer, or the perception is it's going to affect the consumer, and Amazon's a consumer-driven business with their e-commerce business, even though AWS is like not consumer, so I'm not sure why. Yeah, that's a little weird. We're seeing Amazon sell off right here. And then Apple's, I don't know why the hell Apple is. Why is Apple not selling off? I know Apple's been down this whole week, but still, You would think Apple sells off a little bit. Let's go to the crypto stocks. Robinhood 1680, 1677. MicroStrategy down 3%, 1220. Marathon down 6%. CleanSpark down 5.6, 1871. Coinbase 218. Bitcoin 63,000. Bitcoin cannot find a little bit of momentum here, but Bitcoin is selling off. ARM is under 100. We already saw ARM under 100 like 2 days ago. So we got to this level. But then it came back up. Now it's back under 100. So ARM now down 4%. I think ARM's fair value is around 70. The $20 premium is not crazy, but when it was 160, I mean, we all knew that was a bit ridiculous. Palantir, where's Palantir? 21. Not that bad. Not that bad. Look at that green candle. It bottomed at 2066, then gapped up to 2093. Not that bad, actually. I mean, there's momentum there to buy Palantir here. I think earnings are going to go really well. Maybe, the stock doesn't do that well because of the macro, but I think the stock can do well after earnings and get us back to 25 or 26. S&P 498, QQQ 418. Things are recovering a little bit. Yeah, look at these green candles. Tesla's back at 160. Dips getting bought. Meta keeps falling. Meta went from 420 to 417. I want to know if this dip on Meta actually lasts or if it's a head fake. Like if we see 401, 402, I'll get excited. If we stagger around this place, we're probably heading back up, even if it takes a couple weeks to get back there. But where's SoFi? Where's SoFi? SoFi getting hit. We need Noto to perform on Monday. SoFi's down 2.37. That's not that bad, dude. SoFi's done a really good job staying in this 730 to 760 range, to be honest. But we're definitely going to need to see what they do on those earnings. CleanSpark's down 8%. Meta's down 15. S&P's down 498. Amazon's down 4. Oh, that Poet stocks, that's down 5%, down 3.5. Tesla, look at Tesla, dude. Look at that green candle on Tesla. Wow. Tesla's barely, I mean, it's down 0.6%, but it was down 2.4, like 5. Ron Barron, again, if you're just joining, Ron Barron was on CNBC today, and he said this is the bottom for Tesla. He said this is the bottom. And the price action today's just one day, right? We'll see what happens. But the price action that we're looking at is like definitive of, at least for now, a bottom. I mean, it's the green candles galore on Tesla. One of the only companies here that's got some green candles. Where's Baba? Let's see Baba. Baba's up a little or down a little bit. Okay, earnings today. So far in the morning. Today's Wednesday. Today's Thursday. So far in the morning. All right, let me just read some of these off. Caterpillar. 560 on EPS. They beat by 8%. Revenue 15.8 billion. They missed by 1.5. Merck. This is a pharmaceutical company. EPS, they beat by 10%. Revenue, they beat by 3%. I'll just say that what they beat and missed by on EPS and revenue by percentage so that it's easier. BMY, Bristol Myers Squibb, they beat on EPS by 1%, beat on revenue by 4%. NASDAQ, they had earnings as well. They missed on EPS by 3%, beat by 1% on revenue. Royal Caribbean Cruises, they beat, on EPS by 33%. Oh, let's go to their stock. RCL. That one's not as much up as there. So maybe they did some buybacks, so it's maybe artificial. EPS, they beat revenue. They beat by 1%. Love Southwest. They missed on EPS by 5%, missed on revenue by 2%. They're down 8%. Wow. The airlines have done phenomenal. So actually really interesting to see that Southwest kind of screwed up here. SoFi down 3%. Palantir down 3%. CleanSpark down 6.4%. Meta down 15.9%. Meta's bleeding is not stopping. No one is stepping in to buy the dip on Meta. Those are the main earnings this morning. Am I forgetting something? Oh, yesterday, let me show you the numbers for yesterday. So yesterday we had AT&T. They did not do the best. I mean, their stock it's up right now, but they beat on revenue by 4%, beat on EPS by 10%. But this thing was at $30 2 years ago. It's just been cut in half for a while. Yesterday, we also had IBM. Let's look at those. IBM beat on EPS by 5. They missed on revenue by 1. These guys are down 8%. Now, granted, IBM was up basically 30% year to date. I didn't go through their exact qualitative aspects of the call, but I'm assuming they tried to, convince investors about the pivot to AI and not pivoting to AI, but more getting sophisticated in AI. And investors aren't buying it yet. They are down 8.39%. As well. Someone just got Robinhood at 1663, 900 shares. Where's Robinhood? Are we below 1670? 1668. Yeah. I mean, look, not the worst buy. I think Robinhood bottomed out at 1630 over the past 1621 over the past month right here on April 19th. They have 1 million users that signed up to the gold credit card on the wait list. So I think those numbers are going to be good on their earnings. We'll see how that plays out. Palantir now back at this $21 range. So not too bad. Amit, did you end up selling that Tesla call? I didn't. Where is the Tesla call right now? I am down 20% on the Tesla call. Or sorry, I'm down 73% because it's down 20% today. So my $30 has now become $8. But it was a nice time when we were up 700%. It was, it made me feel good about myself, but didn't end up playing out. Just didn't end up playing out. We'll do 700% again. If I did it once, I can do it again. It's not that hard. It's not that complicated, but hopefully the IV crush doesn't get me again. I was going to buy calls on Meta. I was going to do it because I was convinced Zucks was going to drop the hammer. And I'm so thankful I didn't because, dude, I did not expect that reaction, dude. I really thought it was going to go the opposite way, but the street, and it made sense, dude. The thing was up. It was overbought. Same thing with Tesla. It was oversold. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. But we all forgot, including myself. I was just like, no, it's still going to go the same direction it's been going for 4 months. It's like, nope, the market tends to go different. Tesla now 161.72. Tesla recovering pretty much everything they lost, barely down at this point. Not bad at all. Johnson's DNA is now 80 cents. Oh my God, dude. Guys, Cathie Wood has 300 million shares of this thing. Holy crap. And her average is $5. I don't understand how someone can get so many picks wrong, dude. Teladoc, this, Zoom. It's tough, dude. And I love Cathie. I respect her a lot. She's got in Tesla, right? You got to give that to her. And now, she's got back into Palantir. But imagine she took that money. Guys, imagine she took the money. She put it into Ginkgo and she just put it into Palantir. Imagine. It's a couple $100 million, dude. And she put it in at, $16. Forget buying it at 12 or 11. It's just... she's convinced on this synthetic biology play that's going to take way too long to play out. Is it worth a $500 gamble? Yeah, it's worth a $500 gamble. If you're if you're okay with lighting $500 on fire and maybe getting 1,000 back in a year, sure. But if you don't want to light $500 on fire, then no. I like this. The market cap is still $2 billion. It's overvalued. It's over fucking valued. Biosecurity revenue is nothing. Let me just pull up the numbers to prove this thing, dude. DNA is just absolutely atrocious in terms of their revenue growth and in terms of their estimates on what they've said they were going to do. Look at this right now. Let me just share. This is a quick Google Finance of their revenue. Look at this right here. Missed by 64% year over year down in revenue. They're not growing, dude. They are losing 64% year over year. Net income's down 20%. Diluted EPS down 10%. Their net profit margin, they are not profitable. That's down 241%. And net change in cash is down 536%. They used to have a couple $1 billion, but then they started spending on all these sell programs, and those sell programs obviously have not been yielding a ton of success. So, yeah, I don't even think it's worth putting any money into it. And then insiders keep selling. It's stupid. But Cathie has her long-term thesis. It's just the problem is if you're a fund manager, how can you have that long-term of a thesis on something that's down 90%? Because then to break even, it has to go up a lot, right? Just to break even at that point. Tesla's green, make it make sense, dude. It's because Ron Barron said it's the bottom. Ron Barron pumped. Ron Barron, dude. If we didn't have those horrible GDP numbers, Tesla would probably 165 because the Ron Barron pump would have lasted as soon as the market opened. 162. Look at the green on Tesla. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Could you imagine that Tesla bottomed at 138? Could you and everyone, including me, I am included in this thought Tesla was going to 125 again, and it freaking bottomed. Now look, if the S&P pulls back 10%, I don't know if Tesla can maintain this, but so far this is beautiful. Chipotle beat on their EPS by 14%, beat on revenue by 1%. Chipotle is up 3%. I think they do the split in a couple months. Right now it's $3,000 a share. It'll be $60 a share in a few months. And then Ford also I think is up 4%. Ford is down. That's probably because of the GDP numbers, but they beat on EPS by 16%. They missed on revenue. They put up $39 billion in revenue. I still don't understand why people own this stock. I don't get it. Unless you have just legacy shares from 1936 on Ford. I don't know why people own Ford. I don't understand it. Where's NIO? NIO is down 1.3% as well. Tesla's the story. Look at that. Tesla's the story today. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Ryan says, are there Google and Microsoft call opportunities? I would say both will perform well, I think. But betting on earnings so far has been a losing man's game. Everyone bet one way on Tesla, went the opposite. Everyone bet one way on Meta, went the opposite. So I don't know. Google, the thing about Google and Microsoft's been under the radar. Have you guys like felt that there's not that much news about Microsoft? I know the OpenAI stuff is there, but wow, Microsoft's down 4%. This is actually good going into earnings. This is actually really good. I'd rather them be down 4% than up 4% going into earnings. Again, it doesn't matter because if the stock price gets back to the same price it was, it's not like there's been a net gain. However, psychologically, it's nice to see a company do well on earnings and actually be rewarded versus do well and be sold off because the market feels their value too rich. I don't know if it has a broader impact for the rest of the year, but it is nice to see that. Tesla 163, dude, maybe those calls. Maybe those calls. I got one more day left on the calls to... Actually, no, I have 2 days left. I have 2 days for these calls to print. Let's see if we can do that. So Microsoft's down. The thing about Microsoft being silent is that they haven't announced too many crazy things. We know that, OpenAI is doing well, but they've been under the radar. So I would imagine the cloud growth is still going to be great, but I don't know if that's going to have substantial impact. Google's been everywhere because of the woke Gemini AI controversy, but they got through that and they started compounding higher. They had the lowest PE. They still have Meta's PE has to be lower. Google's PE is 28. What's Meta? Meta's 28. Google and Meta both 28. Wow. Google and Meta both 28 now. Interesting. So Google was the lowest PE at 22. Market bought it up. Now it's a question of if they can show continued ad growth. Enphase is down 6%. The reason it's so funny, Enphase is down, but Tesla's not down, dude. Enphase is down because the GDP numbers came out really bad. The inflation numbers came out really bad. No one wants to finance solar when inflation is this bad. So Enphase is selling off. Tesla kind of in the same situation, right? Rates are not good for Tesla, but Tesla's trying to get to 164. It's up almost 1.18%. Look at that, 164. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. People must be believing in autonomy or they're believing that Tesla truly has bottom. That is what we see going on right now, which is why Tesla's getting the momentum. Nvidia's green. Is Nvidia green? Wow. Nvidia's green. Holy crap. Nvidia's green. Where's Meta? Meta's up a little bit right now. Nice little green candle there from 417 to 424. Meta's only down 14% versus 16%. Google, it was down 5%. Now it's down 4.1. Nvidia's green. Huh. Is the dip in? Did anyone buy the dip? It's been what, 12 minutes, 13 minutes? Did anyone buy? See, this is the thing about this market, dude. This is what I was telling Gabriella when she left this morning for work. I was like, babe, you got to tell everybody like it's a bull market, everyone gets scared when you got to tell them we're going to be okay. You're going to get that Chanel purse later this year when these Robinhood call options print. I promise. So and then she wanted the Chanel purse, so she went on CNBC and she pumped the market, and then so did Barron, so did Ron. He said we're pumping the market. Tesla 163. He called the bottom, maybe, but he did say we got the bottom. We got the bottom. Chris says bought the dip on Palantir. Every dip a little bit. I've been doing the same as well. I'm not doing a lot. It's like $100 here, $200 there, but it's not big buys, but it's still something to just get in a little bit more on Palantir. I bought a share of Palantir yesterday, dude. I literally every day, it's almost every week. I'll say it's like 5 to 6 shares. That's what's happening. Not literally every day, but it's here and there. I had like $20 extra yesterday. I was like, fuck it, let's buy some Palantir. So I think by the way, we have to talk about the Palantir partnership. Let's look a little bit more at the market, then we'll talk about the Palantir partnership. But I do think earnings are going to go good. That's why I'm trying to DCA a little bit, even if I don't have a ton of money, because I think earnings are going to be good. And I don't know if we get to see $20 again. Now, granted, if the S&P collapses, even if earnings are good, we'll definitely see $20. So I don't think you have to ape into it at all. But I don't think this is a crazy price. I don't think this is a crazy price at all. Amazon announced a new data center. Okay, where's the stock right now? It was down 5%. Oh, now look, Amazon's recovering a little bit, down 3%. Well, that's good. Amazon definitely needs more data centers. I mean, they're ramping up their AI, AWS infrastructure as well. One of these days, Amit is going to start the market open by reading us the defamation lawsuit. I have not defamed anyone, dude. If anything, I'm praised. The only person I've defamed is Liz Young, even though I call her beautiful, but that bearishness is just it's too much for me, dude. I don't think I could ever date a bear, quite frankly. I don't think I could ever date a bear. I can't do that, dude. We if you're bearish on the markets, I'm an optimistic guy. I'm like, yo, let's go for it. I'll be objective. I think I'm definitely objective. Meta, look at that, recovering a bit, 13% down from 15%. Dips getting eaten up. But if I'm with you, dating a bear is like fucking going to a restaurant and and they ask the waiter oh, do you have do you have like Diet Coke? And like, oh, I'm so sorry, we're out of Diet Coke. And then they're like, honey, we have to leave. Like, like that's the type of attitude it would be like of dating a bear. Just not grateful for the fact that we can invest in the market. When times are bad, you have to be like, well, at least we have a stock market we can invest into. You go, look at all these public. I'm a shareholder of Google. Dude, I saw someone on their LinkedIn. It was hilarious. They had shareholder of Google, Microsoft, Amazon. Like put all the big names, and it was so funny because it was a joke because they just like own a couple of shares, right? But we have to be grateful at least for that. Where's SoFi? SoFi 735. SoFi is getting hit, down 3%. SoFi's down. SoFi's down. Are your parents bullish or bearish? My dad lost big ones and is totally jaded towards stock market. Well, my mom's super bullish because my mom is the carbon copy of me. She's optimistic. My dad is de facto pessimistic, and my sister ends up being de facto pessimistic as well. So my sister got my dad genes. I got my mom's genes. So my dad, he lost a little bit of money in the markets, like, a couple $1,000 last year. And so he got bearish, but I've been teaching him like, Dad, that's okay, right? You can sit on your losses for a little bit in DCA and it's all right. But my mom is, she's like, all right, let's just keep investing. So definitely different perspectives. I am thankful I got my mom's genes from the optimism perspective, because if I was pessimistic, it would be you just can't make decisions when you're that pessimistic, right? And then you become indecisive when you become pessimistic. Enphase here, down 6.7%, Meta 13.2%, Google 155. Okay, let's talk about the Palantir. Let's talk about the Palantir partnership. Let me look at the 10-year real quick, see if that's easing up. That's probably still at 4.7. Wow, 4.716. If that thing gets to 4.8, that's not going to be fun, dude. That's not going to be fun. Okay, let's pull up Palantir. So here's what we got for Palantir. We have a brand new partnership with Parexel. I don't even know what this company is. I saw it this morning, but the only thing you need to know about this is that it's another healthcare partnership. That's the big deal here. So here we go. Palantir and Parexel expand collaboration to accelerate clinical delivery and power clinical outcomes for patients. They announced a multi-year strategic partnership to leverage AI to help enhance and accelerate the delivery of safe and effective clinical trials for the world's biopharmaceutical companies. Under the collaboration, Parexel will leverage Palantir's Foundry and AIP to further power its clinical data, focused on driving clinical trial efficiency. Parexel is the first CRO working with Palantir in this capacity, building on the company's existing collaboration over the past year. Jonathan Saj, the CIO of Parexel, says, we're thrilled to announce our collaboration with Palantir, a leader in AI, as we expand our application of AI to further improve clinical trial execution. Leveraging our internal Parexel expertise and strategic partnership with Palantir, we have novel solutions already in use in various stages. Cliff clinical data officer at Parexel also says Parexel is well positioned to rapidly scale our AI to enhance data quality and streamline the clinical trial process to better deliver for our customers and patients. Now, why is this super important? One last quote right here. The company will significantly accelerate its business by untapping the value of a ontology constructed with Palantir Foundry and connecting it to the immense power of generative AI in Palantir's AIP. So why does this matter? Why is this super important? Again, it goes back to the point that healthcare is going to be one of the largest verticals for Palantir. I mean, this is another pretty amazing partnership. I don't know all the details about this. I'm going to read more before I talk about it on Daily Palantir today. But what it seems like is another company that has a crap ton of data, needs to be able to contextualize data within an ontology, then use AIP to be able to drive value from that data. And that in and of itself can drive value for their clients to proliferate the not only discovery of drugs, but also aiding biopharmaceutical companies that are trying to build new drugs with the highest level of safety and regulatory capture. So right here, Shyam Sankar, CTO, said, Palantir is the world's greatest healthcare startup. Palantir already powers 20% of hospital beds in the US, and they manage the entire UK's NHS. Healthcare, in my opinion, continues to be the market opportunity that Palantir is going after. And so it's really exciting to see that deal and that partnership with Palantir. Is it going to affect the stock? Probably not. Palantir right here, 21.21, benefiting a little bit or from this green candle, bottoming at $20.66. But what is interesting is that, as Chris pointed out in the chat, Oracle moved their headquarters to Nashville, which is one of the healthcare headquarters of the world. to be closer to the healthcare opportunity. Palantir significantly intertwined with healthcare. Now this new Palantir healthcare partnership with Paraxel. Palantir had a partnership with Oracle. You can see the dots coming together around how big healthcare can get. It's a $4 trillion industry. Buying Palantir alone on the healthcare opportunity, to me, makes sense because we know that healthcare has like unlimited money, right? Like there's money to be spent. At the end of the day, we're talking about life or death. The UK paid Palantir $500 million just to get their shit together. And in a couple of years, they're going to pay them another $500 million. And that's going to expand to Brazil, to Canada, to Sweden, to Norway, to Germany. Hopefully if Germany gets over their ideological fear of Palantir, like all the world's social systems when it comes to healthcare are going to be benefiting from Palantir. Amazon down 3%, Google down 4%, Meta recovering. It's only down 13.6. Meta was down worse. Meta was down 16. And it's not as bad as we're seeing right now. So we are seeing a bit of recovery here on Meta and a little bit of momentum here. S&P, let's see if the S&P is still green. Is the S&P still green? S&P 498 is still green, down 1.4. So S&P is actually still getting worse. S&P is still getting worse. All right, not crazy. I mean, it's not crazy at all. It's a red market. GDP projection is not the best, so we kind of expected it. But we are seeing a little bit of momentum right now as the market tries, at least, to get a bit of a rebound. Patrick got in at 138 on Tesla. Congrats, dude. That's amazing. 138 on Tesla is amazing. OCCSR is a great healthcare play. Yep, I agree. That is definitely one of those healthcare companies out there that's very interesting as well. Chris says, I agree with you. Mid healthcare will be huge. It might be like tech was between 1980 and 2015. Yeah. And we're modernizing how we do healthcare, right? In the world of AI, staffing, which is the easiest use case to understand for healthcare. If you can schedule and staff your nurses in a more efficient way, I was with my grandpa in the hospital in December 2022 when he passed away. And I remember, I was the only person with him in his room when he passed away. And I remember the nurses coming to check on him every 30 minutes. And then at one point the nurse came at 3:30 and, he passed away. And it just I remember the week before he was like getting mad at the nurses and, he had dementia. He was getting upset, like he was just in that stage of life. But like the nurses were getting annoyed with him as well, because it's very tough being a nurse and looking after these types of patients. If you can make their lives a little bit easier by the scheduling, the operations, making sure they know exactly what pills the client has to take without going through a trillion Excel files to make sure they're giving them the right pills. And there have been mistakes, right, that have led to life or death situations in the past when nurses mess up. And you kind of, like nurses are tired as well, right? Like there's so many different nuances to this. If you could solve that problem, how much life or death could you save? And then how much more money could you save these hospitals as well? So I think there's definitely an opportunity there that's going to be exciting. Siri announces a dividend. Didn't Siri already have a dividend? Siri's down 4%. Siri already had a dividend, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, Siri already had a 3.5. They must have increased their dividend. Let me know, Michael, in the chat if they increased their dividend, because they already had a dividend at the end of the day. And Angela says, have you covered Palantir's Hyper Auto V2 announced on 4/22? Saw CodeStrap, thinks it's important. I did not cover that. That came out 3 days ago? Honestly, I didn't even see that news, quite frankly. I'll look that up right now. We'll cover it probably on Daily Palantir. Palantir Hyper Auto. Yeah, you're right. It did come out 3 days ago. You're right. All right. Yeah, I'll look into that. I honestly did not see that. That's, I believe, part of their ERP system, if I'm not wrong, right? I think that's part of their ERP system. So we'll cover that. We'll probably talk about it on Palantir Weekly as well on Friday. But in general, right, this is what I think we're seeing in regards to the healthcare market that's going to be exciting for Palantir. UNH also had great earnings. United Healthcare, they're still up. Look at that. They're up today. They were at 450 before earnings, dude. This stock's almost at $500. So UNH also, I think the healthcare opportunity is going to be gigantic. Healthcare and energy. We need energy to power the AI infrastructure. Like everyone has said, this is not an original idea at this point. Everyone has said that we need energy to power AI. So those stocks, that we got to find the right stocks. And then healthcare, in the modernization of AI, given what happened in the pandemic, and I think that is going to be an opportunity over the next decade because people expect a certain quality of care. We thought, or not we, but Kathy thought Teladoc was going to be the modern reinvention of healthcare. I think, dude, no one gives a shit about telehealth. It's just, we're talking about actually remodernizing health, not, logging onto a Zoom call and talking to your doctor. So there's going to be a lot of different things that happen, I believe, over the next decade. NVIDIA, where's NVIDIA? Look at that, 1.61, nice green candle. 1.61 on NVIDIA. Dead cat bounce on Meta? No, I don't think so. I think people are actually buying the dip. I think Meta's cheap. Meta's now 28 PE. I think Meta's cheap. The question is, do you believe that their expenses are going to decrease to increase net income? And they already said their full year expenses are going to increase. So you've got to expect growth to accelerate if you're buying Meta right now, which maybe if not this year, over the next coming years, Meta at 423, I think will be cheap over the long term. You just got to remember the Meta's moat at the end of the day, right? Forget the financials. Who's replacing Meta? Who's taking over digital advertising? These guys printed 36 billion in ads, dude. 36 billion Dolores in ads. I mean, it's just not easy to do that. It's just not easy to do that. And they did it. So and they're not going away anytime soon. So I think that moat is secure. The question is, will the financials make sense over the next 6 months? Strange Zuck came out for the call. Zuck's always comes out for the call. He always does. Or at least on the last 4 or 5 calls, he's definitely been a bit more active on these calls. Okay, so let's get another update here. Let me pull this up right now. Do you guys want to hear from Lina Khan? Should we listen to Lina Khan and what she said on this non-complete call? Let's listen to a little bit of it. Let's listen to like 2 minutes of it, and then we'll get a little bit more of an update on Meta and keep going from there. So the FTC put out this new thingy majiggy, which is about eliminating non-competes. I actually don't fully understand it, quite frankly. I didn't get a lot of time to look into it, but let's see what Lina Khan has to say. She is currently suing Amazon, chair of the FTC. Let's get her thoughts, and then we'll keep going from there.
Some other business groups now suing the Federal Trade Commission over its decision to ban non-compete clauses for U.S. workers. The groups say the FTC doesn't have the authority to implement the rule and that the rule itself is too broad. Join us right now to respond to that and help us all understand how the rule is supposed to work. FTC Chair Lina Khan is here. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So let's talk first, though, about how this rule is supposed to work. We talked about it on the air yesterday when it was announced. I actually think there's a bit of a misunderstanding about what's happened. Contracts that are already in place for folks that are being paid over $151,000 and have a policy-making role can stay in place for as long as the contract exists. But new contracts for even people at the very top of these organizations can't be created, correct?
That's right. So once the rule goes into effect, which as of right now will probably be around the end of August, beginning of September, any new contracts will not be able to include non-competes for workers and employees. So
we now have a Chamber of Commerce and a whole number of businesses suing, saying that this rule is effectively illegal, that it's an overreach effectively of the government, and that it's going to create all sorts of problems for business. You've heard the comments that have come in from business, not just in the past day, but over the past several months as you've been receiving them. What do you make of that?
So we did get a lot of comments. We got 26,000 public comments. 25,000 of them were in support of a ban. And this was across the country, across sectors, across income levels, because at the end of the day, what non-competes do is they keep talent locked up. They prevent a more efficient matching between employer and employee. And so getting rid of non-competes will be good for workers. It'll be good for the labor market, but it's also going to be good for our economy. It's going to.
What do you guys think in the chat? If you sign a job and your employer says, hey, here's a non-compete clause, which means, to my understanding, I've never had to sign one of these. I've signed NDAs, but not non-competes. It's like you're not allowed to go anywhere else and kind of take our intellectual property, or you're not allowed to start your own thing. I think that's the nature of a non-compete. I might be a little off here. Is that good or bad for the broader economy, you think, for the FTC to ban that?
Allow a boost in new business formation, in new startups. And it's going to mean that if somebody has a good idea, they're able to bring that idea to market rather than being locked up.
I think a lot of people agree with you.
Okay, so her argument is if I'm working at Google and I spend 2 years at Google and then I come up with some revolutionary new way to do ads, and I leave Google and I start my own startup, Google can say, oh, you're not allowed to do that because of this non-compete. So her argument is like, hey, you should be able to take your ideas and leave. Google's argument is like, listen, lady, we just gave this guy millions of dollars to work for us. He got all of our secrets and now he's leaving. That's not fair to us. And that's where the sort of ideological disagreement is there.
Especially in the context of if you were a waiter or a waitress at a restaurant with a non-compete, that makes no sense. A hairdresser, all sorts of people in that kind of space. I think it gets more complicated the more senior you get in an organization. And if in fact the rule is not just to keep the current contracts of those senior people in place, but new contracts would not allow for non-competes, how you're supposed to think about how a business is supposed to make an investment around one particular individual if in fact they can turn around tomorrow and go to the competitor across the street.
So we absolutely heard some concerns from businesses, especially as it relates to trade secrets or a concern that somebody would be able to leave and take the customer list. And those are legitimate concerns. And that's why we have things like trade secrets law, non-disclosure agreements, non-solicitation provisions. So all of those would be able to stay in place. When it comes to, investing in workers and investing in people, that's something that will happen anyway. And if the goal of the business is to keep those people, then they can do that by creating all sorts of incentives, right? You can pay them more, you can provide better benefits, you can enhance the working conditions. And so we believe that there are other levers that businesses can use to actually attract and retain
I'll use an
people.
example just because we're on TV. So most people who are on TV have contracts that prevent them. So here we are at CNBC, NBC Universal is the parent company. ABC is just down the street. Literally, Good Morning America is right there. CBS is just across the street as well. I could not call up my boss today and say, you know what, thank you so much, this has been wonderful. I'm going to work over there tomorrow morning. Do you think I should be able to?
In the future, if you have a current contract that reflects the fact that this non-compete is in the contract, your compensation package probably also reflects that. We don't want to disturb that because we realize that for people who are, doing very well for themselves, who are well situated to bargain, the contract and the compensation already reflects the value of the non-compete. But going forward, we believe that those should not be in place, and companies will be able to use other mechanisms to retain people if they want.
Let me ask you about what might be described as workarounds.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that's as controversial as like suing Amazon and all that stuff. I think, there are mixed opinions there, but at the end of the day, it's not the biggest deal. Obviously for Google and, those other guys, they're definitely upset about this. The question is going to be how contextual is this non-compete ban going to be to companies that have very specific clauses already in those contracts with people. A couple of headlines for you guys, and then we'll go back to the markets. 6-month-old AI coding startup is valued at $2 billion. You guys remember we showed you Devin, that like literally AI software engineer that was literally creating stuff, right? Like on its own, like it was basically replacing engineers. 6 months ago, it was valued at 300 million. Now they're valued at 2 billion. I don't think this is signs of a bubble. I think this is broad. And I know most people think, oh my God, it's a startup, no revenue, $2 billion. I think this is signs that AI is becoming really exciting. The reason why Founders Fund, which is Peter Thiel's venture fund, put in as much as they did to give this guy a $2 billion valuation is because they know AI is actually not slowing down. It is going to be insane. And so at least that is their perspective on that. That's why we're seeing some momentum right there. We did see Meta AI, but let me show you guys this. Have you guys seen Meta AI? If you go to Instagram, if anyone uses Instagram, they have this thing right here. Let me show you this thing right here. It says, ask Meta AI anything. Ask Meta AI anything. So if you go right here, you guys see this? So now at the search bar on Instagram, I can say something and it'll be like a GPT, right? Meta has said on their earnings call, tens of millions of people have asked questions. And so they basically hacked distribution and inserted a mini ChatGPT, which is why these models are commodities at the end of the day. Enphase is down 7.55%. Enphase is getting hammered, which is allowing Meta to gain more advertising or gain more information. The reason I'm bringing this up is because the reason why Devin's valued at $2 billion, even though they have no revenue, is because it does seem like the way we all will interact with information will be through these AI agents. And so everything, even software engineering, if it's automatically created via these agents to be able to deploy autonomous software, seems like that's going to be worth a lot in the future, right? And if that is, S&P right now 498, maybe they deserve a higher premium before while they're a seed stage company or a Series A company. Gene says charge your phone. I don't know why whenever I show you guys my phone, it's always uncharged. I don't know why. Like my phone tends to be charged, believe it or not. No one's gonna believe me. My phone tends to be charged, but no one. But like on it, you guys never see it. This is my home screen. For anyone who's curious about my home screen, my home screen is so stupid, dude. I don't use any of these apps. I use Twitter and Robinhood. I don't use Snapchat. I don't know why Snapchat's there. Wall Street Journal, I read that. Bank of America, I use that. I don't use Messenger ever. I don't even know what those two messages are. I don't check that. YouTube Music I use, even though I haven't been listening to much music, quite frankly, because I'm just listening to the stock market and stuff. And then Facebook I barely use. I don't know why Facebook's there. Literally, I use 2 apps on my browser. Let me know if you guys use any of the apps that you see, but I don't use any of these. And then YouTube in the bottom. I do use YouTube a lot, but it's never charged. It's never charged. Amit has no EV range anxiety. Yeah, pretty much. Nvidia at 810, S&P 498, Sirius XM down 4%. Again, Warren Buffett has a crap ton of this stock. We'll see if this thing ever becomes something big. Joshua says, Devin, the AI coding tool, was exposed for absolutely cherry picking their preview of their product. Even if they were cherry picking, dude. Founders Fund is not giving you a $2 billion valuation. Founders Fund is one of the greatest VC firms of all time if they think you're fake. So I know the FTX has happened before. I get it. Theranos, whatever. But still, I think Peter Thiel is not putting in that much money into an AI company, given he runs Palantir. I know he's not operational on the day-to-day, but I think he understands a little bit about Palantir if it's all bullshit. So even if they were cherry picking for the marketing, whatever, I think at the end of the day, a lot of these companies, they're going to live up to their valuation if they're the real legit AI companies. If they're a total fraud, they're a total fraud. But I don't think it's great. Like OpenAI valued at $80 billion, double of Palantir, even though Palantir is doing more revenue than OpenAI. I mean, it seems like there's a reason for why these companies are getting a bit of a premium right now. Amit, what is the email address to send a deck for the VC? Let me put it in the chat. amitderekfund@gmail.com. amitderekfund@gmail.com. Please make sure to send if you have good ideas or any ideas, quite frankly. It doesn't have to be good. Just send your decks and we will get back to you. We'll get back to you within like 2 weeks. Meta calls down 99%. Juicy or nah? Well, what's the strike? That's the question. The leaps probably are a little juicy unless we have a recession in 2020. Dude, if Trump gets elected, we might have a crazier bull market in 2025. Because Trump, he's going to be perceived as business friendly. Robinhood, by the way, back over $17. He's going to be perceived as business friendly. He's going to be perceived as not doing this whole 44% tax nonsense. And he might cut taxes again, dude. Like, he might increase corporate profits again. So I'm expecting a crazy recession in 2025. Like, to be honest, like, I think like we're going to have to pay the piper. And 2024 is our chance to make money. But if Trump gets, you never know. Maybe 2016 happens all over again if Trump gets elected and the economy just goes through the roof again, which is kind of crazy because we have too much debt. So I don't know how we would go through the roof. We would have to cut spending, and Trump's not going to cut spending, dude. No president's going to cut spending. So we'll see what happens. Meta 432. Okay, so Meta's recovering a little bit. Meta's now only down 11%. Meta was down 15%. You just made 4% on your money if you got the bottom. Meta 434 right now. Not bad. Not bad for Meta. Not bad at all. Josh says, I know a ton of ML engineers. They all expose that it's a total fraud just using GPT to code. Maybe it is. Maybe Founders Fund messed up on it, but they gave them a $2 billion valuation. So we'll see. We'll see if that one plays out. AI-driven productivity gains will starve off a recession. I think that is possible. It just has to be really good productivity, dude. Like, we have to really see SoFi now down 4%. We have to really see productivity actually happening. Because the only way productivity over subsidizes like the lack of growth is if we actually are productive. And the numbers we're seeing is that is the case. We actually are being productive. But we need to make sure that like that continues over the next 5 years if spending continues to ramp up. Because if it doesn't, then we're going to be in a tough situation. Let's go. Let's get another update on Meta. Let's talk a little bit. Meta's recovering a little bit. Let's talk about why is bullish on Meta and ultimately why Meta is going to be the one to bet on. Snapchat is down. Snapchat's down because Snapchat is not the best stock. Snapchat. Yeah. Also, dude, they're down 1.4% because Meta's down 13%, right? So if Meta's ad number sucks, Snapchat reports after, Snapchat reports after the bell today, $10.92. It's down so much year to date. So buying a put probably wouldn't make sense, right? Snapchat year to date. Snapchat's down 40%. Okay, so this is an interesting decision. Let's talk about this. I started off the stream saying that Meta was up so much, Tesla was down so much, and then the inverse happened. Meta went up and Tesla went, or Meta went down, Tesla went up, which makes sense, right? If you're going up in a straight line, you're going to get a pullback. If you're going down in a straight line, you're probably going to get a bounce. Snapchat's down 30% year to date. So technically they're in the Tesla camp where they should rebound off anything good. But people hate Snapchat. So how much would an $8 put be expiring this week? How much would it cost me to not take my advice and do the inverse of whatever I need to do? It's 9 cents, dude. We're buying some Snapchat puts. Fuck this. We're buying some Snapchat puts. We're doing it. We're doing it. It's 10 cents. We're doing it. We're gonna buy. Okay, now I am objectively going against my own advice in the beginning of the open because I said, hey, we have to go against the crowd because that's what happened on Meta and Tesla. Snapchat, I'm assuming everyone thinks is going to collapse. That's what going against the crowd would be, assuming that it's going to go up. But Snapchat sucks. Snapchat sucks. So we're going to buy some puts. Fuck it. We're going to buy some puts. $8 puts for next week are 17 cents. Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Yeah, we're going to gamble on this one. Screw it. I've never bought in a put before in a company. That's why I'm doing it. And this is probably not going to work because Snapchat's probably due for a bounce. But on the offhanded chance that Snapchat really just shits the bed, which I don't have faith they're not going to shit the bed. Let's just do it for fun. Here's the question. Snapchat $8 puts are 10 cents if they expire this Friday, so like in 2 days. On May 3rd, they're 17 cents. Which one should we buy? Should we buy the May 3rd ones or the April 26th one? The reason I'm asking is because if Snapchat goes up, it's not like in a week I'll be profitable on the puts, right? It's either going to go down or up tomorrow or today. So even if they're April 26th, they expire, like I don't think it matters, right? It should be this week, right? Yeah, I think it's this week. Because if Snapchat gaps up to $15, then my puts are screwed next week no matter what anyway. Unless it goes all the way back down, which it won't happen if Snapchat changes. So literally this is a one-day play. If it either happens or it doesn't happen. It either happens or it doesn't happen. Amit is so lucky that so many people around that would tell him not to gamble any large amount. Yeah, dude, it's going to be like $100. We'll do it for like $100. Nothing that crazy. You should just be careful with the one that has high IV percentage. Okay, so the $8 put right now, the implied volatility is 412%. The May 3rd $8 put is Snapchat would have to go down to like $6 or $7, dude. For me, does it really go down that much? Probably not. Probably doesn't go down that much. The May 3rd put on Snapchat. Do a call credit spread into that. I mean, we could do a call credit spread. Let's see. Snapchat May. Because I just don't believe in this company at all, dude. But they're probably gonna bounce. I'm probably gonna like lose on this because they're due for a bounce. $8. The IV for 5.3 is 183%. The IV's 420% for April 26th. Do we really see Snapchat going to $8, dude? $8. The credit spread is a little too expensive. Yeah, it might be $8. Meta's gapping up. Look at that, 438 on Meta. Not bad at all. S&P is recovering a little bit as well. It was down 1.5. Now it's down 1.2. Palantir is recovering a little bit. Where's Robinhood? Robinhood 1707. There you go. Whoever got that 1660 dip, not bad. Arnie says Snap is so hopeless that only calls make sense. See, I think Arnie's right about this because it's due for a bounce. Like, dude, this thing is down so badly. Look at that. Went from 83 in 2021 all the way down to 7 when it bottomed. Then it recovered back here to 1790. This is when, remember Josh Brown said, oh, Snapchat has this AI program. I'm price target $34. And he like bought a shit ton at 1790. Yeah, like that. I don't know if he sold since then, but that story has not played out. But if Snapchat announces something with AI, they have that AI Plus program that's doing $4 a month, and that's growing really well. And they somehow give a profitable quarter, which I don't think is going to happen, but let's say they do. There's no way that could happen, dude. There's no way. There's no way they give a profitable quarter. But if they do, this thing's going to the moon, which is $15. Snapchat, let me bring up their last earnings. This literally does feel like gambling, dude. You're like trying to give some sophisticated analysis to figure out like what is the way it's going to go to the upside or downside. But literally, it's like, should I bet on black or should I bet on red? That's literally red or green. What are we going to do? Okay, so here's 2024 Here's 2024 results, dude. It wasn't pretty at all. It wasn't pretty at all. Look at this. DAU increased 10%. Fourth quarter revenue increased 5%. This is a tech company doing revenue. For context, Meta's doing 27% year over year. Snapchat's doing 5%, dude. Fourth quarter operating cash flow of $165 million. They still lost $1 billion, bro. They went public in 2017. How do you lose $1 billion? Insanity. And then stock-based comp is about $1 billion. Well, and remember, Evan Spiegel has these F-class shares, so no one can tell him shit, which is why I'm so surprised investors are even invested in this story. This market cap's still 18 billion, dude. The market cap's 18 billion. The PE is negative 13. Price to sales is 4, which isn't crazy. 1.6 billion shares outstanding. That's a pretty large float. And then they're not profitable, losing $1 billion a year. What's the short float? Let me see the short float on Snapchat. Snapchat's short float, I'm going to say 8%. Yeah, I'm telling you, dude, I promise I didn't look this up. 7.96. Look at that. 7.96. The CEO has a ton of shares. Yeah, he has a ton of shares. Dude, everyone wants Snapchat to just sell. Like, they want them to just get sold off because the company can't really function. It's like a startup that went public that probably should have never went public. It made the VCs a ton of money, but in the public markets, it probably should never have existed. I mean, they can't compound the growth. They just can't get the growth, dude. And all the people using it are little kids, so they don't have the money to pay for the ads. So the ads aren't that effective. I think the way to pivot Snapchat is to introduce a TikTok style feed where creators sell products and they get a commission. So there's an e-commerce play. I think that's the best way to market, because like you have all this attention, at least try to build some commerce into it. But then again, if the people don't have money already, if they're just kids, how are they going to buy products, right? That's another problem with Snapchat. So I think it could get sold to like Google or a Meta, but the thing is the FTC would probably never allow it. But I don't know. But part of me thinks that it's been down so badly over the past 2 years that they announced something to finally get their shit together. But I just don't trust management would do that. I just don't trust they would do it. With a TikTok ban, Snapchat can capture some people. That's true. But again, TikTok's not getting banned for 12 months. They have 12 months. Oh, do you want to hear what the TikTok CEO said yesterday? Let's play that video. The TikTok CEO, he was basically like, we're not going anywhere. And so if he's right about that, then maybe that doesn't help Meta and Snapchat. Here's him talking about the ban.
It's show here. As you may have heard, Congress passed a bill that the president signed into law that is designed to ban TikTok in the United States. That will take TikTok away from you and 170 million Americans who find community and connection on our platform. Make no mistake, this is a ban on TikTok and a ban on you and your voice. Politicians may say otherwise, but don't get confused. Many who sponsored the bill admit a TikTok ban is the ultimate goal. It's obviously a disappointing moment, but it does not need to be a defining one. It's actually ironic because the freedom of expression on TikTok reflects the same American values that make the United States a beacon of freedom. TikTok gives everyday Americans a powerful way to be seen and heard, and that's why so many people have made TikTok part of their daily lives. Rest assured, we aren't going anywhere. We are confident and we will keep fighting for your rights in the courts. The facts and the Constitution are on our side, and we expect to prevail again. Our community is filled with people who have found acceptance and compassion, offered inspiration and...
So as you can see, dude, it's like he's trying to save this company. I don't know. Remember, they're not banning TikTok because it's a Chinese company. They're saying TikTok, just get rid of your Chinese ownership and you can still exist. And the CCP is just saying no. So it's like, why can the CCP just agree, right? Why can't they agree? If they're not going to agree, then this thing's going to be out of here. So it's really interesting because TikTok can survive if they just have different ownership, but because they're so adamant on not having, it's like, why are you so adamant on having the same ownership? Like, why are you so adamant on having a government, the government own part of your company? Like, just like, don't do that. And they're like, nope, we have to do that. It's like, okay, well, obviously something's going on if you're not going to let that change. Marketing is recovering a little bit of the dip getting bought up. Robin at 1709. All right, so we're not going to buy the Snapchat puts. We'll do a game time decision at 3 p.m. You guys, I'll post it on Twitter, and we'll see. We'll see if we do it. Meta 437, Snapchat 1093, Robin at 1709. UNH 493, Palantir 2146. It bottomed at 2066 on the day, so not too bad. SoFi 740, that's up a little bit as well. Nvidia, wow, 3.25%. That Meta money went straight to Nvidia. Tesla 164. Holy crap, we didn't look at Tesla for like 20 minutes. Look at that, dude. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Tesla, Nvidia, and Meta. Meta still down, but recovering. Tesla and Nvidia leading the way. Not bad at all. Robin at 1709, and then Palantir 2146 on the day. Not bad. Not bad, not bad, not bad. All right. Last thing of the day. You guys know what we got to do on the market open. By the way, thank you everybody for joining today. Oh, let's do this. Let's where are you guys watching from? Usually we do this at the beginning of the open, but I can probably see more comments now that we're at the end. So where are you guys watching from? What part of the world are you at? We'll do word of the day. We'll read off some countries, and then we'll end up. Oh, this is such a good word. This is such a good word, dude. This is such a good word. Oh my God, this is hilarious. Okay, let's see where you guys are from, and this is a good word of the day. Thank you, everybody, for joining this morning. Means a lot to me. I hope you guys have been enjoying these streams, Tesla earnings, Meta earnings. It's been really fun, and we will keep this going. We got a long earnings season. We got Google and Microsoft today, so make sure you get your food and you're ready for Google and Microsoft today and see what we got to do. Swip says, admit that jacket is fresh. This is the same jacket I wore with Vlad in the Vlad interview. So same one. I've had this jacket for so many years, dude. I've worn it so many times. Okay, we got Philly. We got Belgium. We got Tampa, Florida. We got UK. We got Spain, Barcelona. I got to go to Barcelona one day. We got Austria. We got Germany, the country that hates Palantir. But still, I love you guys from Germany. By the way, I had someone from Germany send me an audio message on Twitter who was talking about Palantir. And he basically was like, yeah, you're right. Everyone hates Palantir here. But like, you know, he's an investor. He understands Palantir, but the rest of the country unfortunately hates them. Tampa, Florida, Montreal, Meta 440. Not bad. Meta dip's getting eaten up. Meta dropped to 399 yesterday. Shout out to June. I don't know if she's here, but she got Meta at like a 401 yesterday. So she got the dip on Meta. We got Portugal in the house, Abu Dhabi, Poland, Houston, Chicago, Santa Barbara, New York. We got the metaverse. All right. So at least someone's paying Zucks some money in the metaverse. Croatia. I've been to Croatia before. I've been to Zagreb. We got New Brunswick. That's right near me. New Brunswick, New Jersey. Not bad. Oh, June is in the chat. Shout out to June. Shout out to June being here. Dubai, Seattle, Wisconsin, New York, South Korea. Dude, South Korea, Seoul is. I have so much soul and passion that I think I need to go to Seoul one day. You know, I have to. Like, I think I would feel so alive if I go to Seoul. Seoul is great. Also, there's this South Korean dating show, dude, that's on YouTube. It's called Views from the Six. Look it up. Dude, it's so funny. It's such a good show. And they're all South Korean on that dating show. It's cute. So yeah, shout out to South Korea. Dallas, Italy, New Jersey, Israel, North Dakota, Vietnam. Dude, it's so crazy. Everyone around the world. It's awesome. We got New Mexico in the house. German who loves Palantir. I love it. Denver, Antarctica. You're probably. Oh, by the way, speaking of Antarctica, that stupid snowflake Arctic model they put out yesterday on the LM. I talked to a bunch of people that are in the data science space, and I asked them, yo, am I crazy or is this thing stupid? Very high level people, like very high level people that work in data science. They understand this shit. They're like, dude, this is the dumbest thing ever. And they're desperate right now. So look, maybe Snowflake's going to pull this off with this new LLM. But they were just like, why do you need this when you have Meta already, when you have Gemini? Like, you don't need another model. So the same thing we thought when we got that PR yesterday is the same thing, at least from the data science people I'm talking to. They believe the same thing as well. Rihanna just tweeted. Ray, this is a market open stream. We don't care about what Rihanna tweeted about, okay? We care about it, like if Warren Buffett said something or if Kathy, we don't care about what Rihanna tweeted. But what'd she say, though? What'd she say? Put it in the chat. What'd she say? Could you imagine she pumped a stock? Rihanna's like, by the way, guys, did you hear about Palantir? All right, word of the day. Word of the day. There we go. This is a good one. Firkin. Word of the day is firkin.
Firkin.
A small wooden vessel or tub for butter. I just like it because it looks like fucking. I mean, that's like that's why I like it. Firkin. I was like, oh, cool, firkin. But the word means something totally different. It's a vessel or tub for butter. So the antique store had a collection of quaint firkins on display. After the Harvest Festival, the townspeople gathered to share stories over slices of bread from a firkin of butter. I got to figure out how to use this word one day, dude. It's an interesting word, but it refers to butter, a tub of butter. How do we use this word in a way that makes sense? Firkin. A small wooden vessel or tub for butter. I don't know, dude. Butter. Interesting. The butter has a... Yeah, all of you guys are using it as firkin. Let's firkin go. Right, yeah, but like that's not the definition. I thought the definition of it would be closer to like freaking or effing, but instead it's a tub of butter. Interesting. It's a tub of butter. We'll figure out one day how we use firkin. Pass me that firkin butter, bro. Pass me that. That's a good one. Pass me the firkin butter, bro. Because technically, yeah, the firkin of butter. Pass me the firkin butter. That's funny. Dan Ives retweeted Ron Barron. See, this is what we need. We got Gene in the chat actually giving us updates. Let's look at that. What did Dan Ives retweet? This is what actually matters, not what Rihanna's saying. Even though we care. Oh, he just said great interview. Okay. It was a good interview. If you missed it in the stream, go to the 16-minute, 28-second part of the stream once this is done, and you'll be able to watch the interview. It was good stuff. He's saying the bottom is in for Tesla. All right, that's it for me. 3:45 p.m. We'll be back for the market close. Let's see how the market recovers, hopefully, and we'll keep going from there. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a great Thursday, almost the end of the week. And then Microsoft and Google, 3:45. We are back, and let's see if Microsoft and Google can keep this economy afloat. Meta's only down 10%, recovering today from being down 15%, so not bad at all for Meta. All right, thank you, everybody. I'll see you guys in a few hours. Get ready. It'll be a 2-hour stream. No, maybe a 3-hour stream. We're going to listen to both calls if we can, because usually Microsoft starts after Google, and we'll see what we got going on. It'll be a long one. Have a good one. See you guys in a little bit. Bye, everybody.